Hey everybody, welcome to our Twitch and YouTube stream. We're still in the process of getting set up, but don't worry, you'll know when we're going live with the show. Bye.
Yes, suckers.
Do you see this?
What am I seeing?
Not gonna lie, Doyle just scared the fuck out of me.
That's cool. Oh, look how black I look.
They can hear all that.
I didn't say ooh, I said
Hey,
oh.
will you come let Doyle in? Because the dogs are trying to eat him.
They'll have a big meal.
Doyle!
Steven and Jessica?
He's not. Oh, I thought you didn't get a hold of him. So.
He don't like us.
Oh, that's not true.
He joined us one time and then was like, I'm out.
Twice.
Hard,
Thank you.
hard pass.
Hard pass.
Has he joined us twice?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the second time.
Was it? Did he get his hat and everything?
No. It's sitting right over there, so he just has to come over.
Come over, man. This is just for anybody who wants to sit and join.
Oh yeah, Tim's in Baltimore.
Hi, Yeti. Get out of the bag, Yeti.
Okay.
Do we no longer have the roller?
I watched Cube and Cube 2.
Oh, did you? The Hypercube?
Couldn't make myself watch Cube 0.
I like that one better than Cube 2.
No, I just couldn't make myself watch it in a row. I watched it last night.
Give me just a second. I'm making sure some stuff
you
is
haven't?
working.
It actually is.
I've never seen the second one either, actually. I've only seen the first one.
Oh, really?
Until last night.
Sounds good.
I think the third one, the prequel, explains a little bit more, which I think is why I like it.
That go okay, Bailey?
Absolutely
Absolutely
nothing.
It's just $100.
Agreed.
It's just people getting killed by a cube.
And somehow that's so good.
Cube.
I did.
All
I
you
didn't.
must know is people die in cube forms.
Not in cube forms, in cube rooms.
No, the first guy actually gets cube.
I
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
the
that's
Cube
true.
when it originally came out.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since.
Were you like 25?
I was very young.
What, 93?
That is
Just giving her shit.
fucked up.
No, I thought it was like 96.
Was it?
Yeah.
I know,
What does
I know it was the
Humberto?
90s.
What does Humberto always say, bro? I hope you live to the age you look.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Smells nice in here.
It smells burny. Ooh. Smells like pot roast.
Gabe, does it feel like you're burning?
No.
Cause you're Satanist.
Yeah.
He has better vibes than most of the Christians I know.
Yeah, don't burn the lasagna this time.
That's a part of the process.
You did double up. Makes it harder. There's two lasagnas in there.
He said it was good. He had it the next day, didn't he?
I don't know. I didn't fucking eat it.
What's that?
I've burnt the lasagna before too. Really, all that happens is you burn the top layer of lasagna.
Oh yeah, it was good. So
You still have lasagna under it. That's fine.
regular zong.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Zanya, no lie.
You can have cheese flavor on top. That sucks. But it is. But when it turns to a black crust, it's not the best part. What's this flavor?
Peach. That's actually this one and the white one are probably one of my favorites. You don't drink any more sugary drinks, though, huh?
I want that. No,
I tried to a state. Well, the other day, randomly, I was like,
sorry, I stole your.
probably the first one I've had in a couple months. I was like, I want a Fanta. I don't know why. And I looked at the back of Fanta and I was like, Fanta's like the worst drink ever.
The most Mexican drink you can have, bro.
Dude, it's like 90 grams of sugar in a Fanta. Like, it's not. Like, a Coke's like 20.
38 grams.
Yeah, a Coke's like 29 or something, and people are like, it's the worst thing ever. And I was like, Fanta's like way worse. Don't you want to die of diabetes, Fanta?
Don't you wanna die?
Actually, I didn't even want Fanta, I just wanted pineapple something. And the only thing I had available was Fanta. And then I went and bought pineapples. So I tried pineapples instead. Who's telling me pineapples take like 10 years to grow or something?
They do take a long time, right? But I don't
It's
know if
not-
it's
it's
10
not
years.
10 years
It's
seems
long
a
time.
I'm
little.
exaggerating.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
It's like
We learned
2
about it.
years or something like that for the plant to start fruiting, and then it's like a year for the fruit to actually come to full.
It seems ridiculous.
An avocado tree takes 10 years before it'll be big enough to actually start fruiting.
But then doesn't it for like every year after that?
Yeah.
Beginning of the season.
It was cool when we went to Hawaii. We saw kind of the pineapples and all the different stages of growth. It was pretty cool.
Did you go to the Dole plantation?
Of course we do. We got Dole Whip.
It was crazy.
You got Dole whipped.
Denver's
Yeah,
do now.
that's a sexual term.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
Do you want to know? So okay,
With that butt plug she found.
Yeah.
the first time I ever went to Hawaii, I was super ignorant to pineapples, and I'm looking around, I'm like,
Are the trees?
"Fuck, they're all pineapples." And Max is like, "What?" And I was like, "Where are all the pineapples?" And he's like, "Right there." I'm like, "What? I see no pineapple trees." He goes, "Dude, pineapples grow on the fucking ground." I'm like, "Oh."
They're low, yeah.
And I'm like, "Ugh."
Imagine getting fucking pelted in the head with a pineapple falling.
Should have just kept playing the lawn. Yeah, they're like really small trees. Tiny ass trees. Who says trees have to be tall?
They are. They're dwarf trees.
They're damn straight. They're dwarf giant trees.
He's got to be able to climb them.
I wonder if there's a species of tree that's like that big.
Alright, so
Well, I don't know what is considered like what is
Me
what
neither.
it considers a tree. Is it the like
I mean,
some kind of DNA in the plant itself, or is it like a height thing?
No,
Bush territory eventually?
are you looking at the chat?
Yeah.
This one fly.
Do you have the chat?
Flood this fly.
You just throw.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I was gonna do it from Twitch, but.
Ashton, what
Yeah,
the fuck?
literally just ripped one of them out. So like,
I like how you picked up your coat and half the chair was looking.
No, I was just gonna make sure that he's getting the text like he's supposed to.
so what?
The test? It said test here.
Yeah, that one came up. I just haven't
The
done
chairs
Twitch
are out
yet.
to get me. chair's
Is that a
out.
pun? Is that some kind of meth joke?
Ashton, you don't put that chair in the middle of the living room like that.
Oh, I should probably start the recorder. What are we talking about? Oh, are we doing the seance first?
No, I figured we'd do it
Second?
second or third. Yeah,
What? I
You
didn't
should do it
matter.
on Facebook
yeah. It's
Live.
mostly about
Like
him.
him. Well, we don't want to do it third because we don't want to push it. We don't want to cut it short into the 7th,
Okay,
right?
I basically have to bounce like 8:30.
Okay.
Only
So
like 3 hours.
so it should be okay if we, because we'll go from 7 to 7:30 for the interview, and then after that we can do the séance.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
interview.
Let's do that.
I got
I'm
the
interviewing people from the Conjure Gala, like seance people, seancers that didn't
Seancees.
want to do it because they're afraid that they're gonna like get demonized.
Oh shit.
and not in a that's a metaphorical
Like
sense.
no, straight up, they were just like, I don't want something weird getting attached to me. Those are the exact words that I got.
Oh,
Maybe like-
So Cube is second then.
Yeah.
So then what do we want to
Contact
talk
like
about
Bill
first?
Paxton.
Do we want to do Midsommar or In the Tall Grass first?
Let's do Midsommar.
All right. Yeah, I think this will probably be the most contentious one. So
147. I think it's
Pretty good.
It's like a 2-hour movie.
2.5 hour movie.
Yeah. I watched you start it. I was like, Dad's gonna fall asleep.
Yeah,
147. All right. Hey, Eddie. Hi. We. Ooh, farted.
You farted as you coughed?
Yeah.
I cough farted just there, and this is episode
That's a
140
giant skill.
of Thinking Outside the Longbox with Doyle, Gabe, and Juan, and ghosts.
All kinds of ghosts.
All sorts of ghosts all over the
Are
place.
you afraid no ghosts?
Ghosts all over your
I ain't
face, neck,
afraid
and
of no
chest.
ghosts.
I never know when you assholes are gonna say something funny, so I gotta keep it
Whose
rolling.
phone was that?
That's mine.
Turn it down.
It was.
Oh
Oh,
my god.
Fucking ghosts got T-Mobile these days.
What episode was it?
It's running out of minutes here.
Ding,
pretty soon,
stop
I
bothering
think.
me. What episode was this again?
147. Yes, and we're recording. So
Hey
they
everybody!
know already.
Hey everybody! Welcome to episode 147 of Thinking Outside the Longbox. I'm Gabe,
Come on.
Doyle.
and you may indiscriminately hear the voice of young Ashen over there, who's going to be moderating the comments. We are currently live on Twitch and YouTube. You can find us at tinyurl.com/totlbtube or on Twitch at Outside Longbox. We'd love to have you guys join us. We'll hear about you in the comments, etc., etc.
You want to explain to your daughter that's indiscriminately in the background as well?
Oh yes. Also, my daughter is a self-practitioner, and she is a witch. She is currently
burn her!
burn her. Yes,
Wow.
she is
Is
currently
that the
going
sacrifice
through
at the end of the night?
Yeah, it's not her though. We are currently going through the house doing a cleansing because better safe than sorry. I don't personally believe in that stuff, but they do. So respecting other people's
Here we are.
respecting other people's beliefs. So.
At what point do you think we get up to the ghost era where they start having pagers and shit? Because all the ghosts right now are like old medieval times.
Like 1800s and stuff.
Victorian times.
Yeah. When do you think there'll be
What?
millennial ghosts? Is that kind of what you're asking?
I'm assuming it happened. Like
Probably in about 50 years.
it goes like at 100 years from now, the ghosts will be 100 years fresher.
Do you wonder if like millennial ghosts haven't been haunting people because they're just like meh?
Could be.
Haunting seems like a lot.
They don't want to do
I'm out of
it.
energy.
I'm
Too
out,
busy
I'm out of
watching-
energy.
Too busy watching Friends.
Oh, dude, Friends.
Just make the light flicker or something.
Friends is a thing
Or
that
Beverly Hills 90210.
like middle schoolers really like right now, and that's weird to me.
I like Friends.
Right, because you watched Friends when
I didn't. She did.
but when you were a normal age to watch Friends.
Yeah.
I'm talking
it,
about
it
like
passed my review.
current sixth graders that are like obsessed with Chandler and Rachel.
I don't
Do you
get it.
think they're obsessed with them because of who they are now, though? Not because of who they were then?
No, they just like the show.
You think?
Yeah, I think most of those kids couldn't tell you a single movie that the cast of Friends is in.
Fuck,
now.
I almost couldn't tell you that.
Right. Well, with the possible
Maybe
exception of
Jennifer
Jennifer
Aniston.
Aniston.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course.
She's been a horrible boss.
And she bitched about Marvel not too long ago.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
She said she quit movies because of Marvel.
What?
Yeah.
Did she really?
Yeah.
What movie?
So she went
was
to-
she in a Marvel?
No. She just quit doing movies. She wanted to do shows instead because of Marvel.
Who?
That's weird.
Yeah.
This thing is
That's
weird.
What are you trying to do?
It's like at my
Oh
nose,
yeah.
so I.
So do this.
Yeah.
Don't
And now you see my problem.
Jeez Almighty! I feel like your dwarf giant fingers
I didn't
fucking did that.
tighten it.
I didn't tighten it. There's no way I could
Oh,
tighten
Maybe it was a ghost.
Ghost.
You are standing right in front of the camera right now.
it. Which is fine. We're recording too. I'm sure that'll get a lot of likes. Honestly.
I didn't lick my shirt.
I don't hate it.
Oh, see, there it is right there.
Small one.
There's just a tiny lag, so I just saw it.
All right, there
We're
we go.
talking about.
So right now we're going to be talking about 2019's Midsommar from. Oh man, I don't have my phone.
Ari
Here, I got
something.
Yeah, it's Ari Eichner, I think is how you say his
Not
name.
Shapiro.
Ignar.
Iknar?
I doubt that it's Eichner.
Was it Ingmar?
No.
Hey, you want to come sit at the table?
What do you want?
No, you don't have to. You can stay over there if you want. Ari Aster.
Aster.
Just
it's
making up a
close.
name
It's
that's not
close.
close.
Starring Florence Pugh, Jack
Astor?
Rayner, William Jackson Harper,
Wilhelm Blorgen.
Blomgren,
Blomgreen, sorry.
Will Poulter.
Poulter. So,
Stay with
Like
that
the
large.
Geist.
or the tree. Poultry.
Oh, that was a little harder to get. I was like, what the fuck?
Okay, so the basic premise of this film is
Stupid.
a group of students from the United States.
Whoa,
Come on, Chalupa. A group of students from the United States go to Sweden to participate with one of their friends in a midsummer ritual that is based around fertility and effectively is about the village renewing its harmony with nature through sacrifice. Except for they don't know that they're probably going to end up as the sacrifices. They go mostly just to take mushrooms and bang Swedish chicks.
Yes.
But they never even get that far, except,
One of them
well, they
does.
take the mushrooms, and the one guy does, yeah.
Instantly becomes a bear afterwards, but you know.
So, first off, this is an A24 movie. So if you're not familiar with A24, they make a lot of art house films, a lot of films that maybe aren't within like the normal scope of things that people typically would make. Ashton, take the camera and just with the whole base tilted just a little bit towards you so that mom's a little more in the...
I'm just fucking with my hair. People
the
don't need to
frame.
see that shit.
Well, they want to see it.
Why?
Because guys are weird on the internet.
Hey.
So-
I'm with him.
This movie is not a fast movie. I would definitely not call this movie a horror movie.
No, not at all.
There's
It-
horror elements.
It has... So the way that I've been describing it when people ask me today, because I try to like talk about the things that we're going to talk about, so in my brain it's not all muddled.
Right.
This is a suspense movie with a lot of shocking moments in it. Like they're blunt and intense and shocking, but not necessarily scary. Like there's no part of this movie where I was like, ah, or even felt, ugh. There was
No.
just moments where I was like, whoa, holy crap, that was
fucked
rough.
up.
I've
Yeah.
heard of it as gore porn.
Not at all.
That's
This
not-
is
there's no gore
nowhere
in that
close
movie.
to a gore porn
But
movie.
there's some gore, but it's not.
But it's not.
crazy.
It's not
not
there
soft.
for the sake of gore. It's there to move the story
Right.
forward.
Right.
Gore porn is something like Green Inferno or Hostel or something where the gore is largely just there to be gross.
Yes.
Like, yes,
I feel like it
Saw,
was
thank
largely
you.
Saw,
there to
yeah.
be gross.
No, it's
That's how I feel.
But
you
it's
can't
not.
say no.
It's
That's how I
not.
feel. It's a feeling of
Did you
mine.
watch the movie?
yeah.
Okay. It sounded like you didn't for a second.
Then I feel like you
Sounds
completely
like-
misunderstood why it was
Oh,
there.
no.
Like,
What part? I'm just curious. What part did you find gory to be
He's kind
gory?
of putting his foot.
Well, that's
No,
where
I
they
just
go.
don't.
Well, if you put your feet in his face,
How do I
it's gonna
explain
lick
it?
him.
I'm not a giant. I don't need to see heads being bashed in, and you know what I mean. I don't need to see those things in order to understand
what
what's
needs to
going
see
on.
them.
No, but I mean in order to progress the story or move forward and understand what's going on. I don't need to see those things. I feel like that's
I will
something
say-
put in because they want to see guts and heads
The
exploding.
one thing I would say that I think they didn't have to add, I didn't bother me that they did,
No, I'm not
was
saying I'm
the
bothered
up
by it.
close scene of like the hammer smashing the face.
Right.
So like, you get that they face dove into a rock, and then you get that one guy lived, which is just shitty.
He's just out there.
Yeah.
Ah!
but
And I don't mind them showing the
but
beginning with the
it
hammer.
serves the purpose that
Yeah.
that they don't want him to suffer. Like he's not there to suffer. He's
Yeah.
just there as a
I'm just saying that there was
sacrifice.
the one thing where they like zoom in on it, where they like over and over again.
I think-
where it doesn't
I think
bother me,
the-
but I can see where you're at.
I'm not bothered by it. I
No,
just
I-
don't think that it needs to be there.
I think the intention though is not to be shocking for the sake of shocking. I think it's to put you in the same headspace as the lead female character, where
Yeah.
she's experienced a serious trauma, and on top of that trauma, she's now witnessing something super.
But I think you could. I think you could do that better by if he's about to swing the hammer and then you cut to her face and you just hear what's going on. I feel like that's a better way of doing that, in my opinion.
obviously obviously in an opinion,
Right.
I think the way they
Obviously, Ari Astar disagrees with you.
right.
Well, of course.
And like I think his intent is to show you because it shows you, then cuts to her face, then shows
Right,
you,
right.
and then cuts to
I
her
just don't need
face.
to see it.
He
I
does
know
a
it.
lot. He does a lot of camera work where he's like going back and
Right.
forth between the scenes, so that you're getting the visceral nature of it and their emotional response over and over again.
Well, and the thing that you and I talked about today too is like whenever she was like wailing and stuff like that, all the other women would wail with
The
her.
shared
Or-
experience
yeah,
part,
so
yeah.
it's a lot of. It seemed to me like they wanted you to experience what she was experiencing.
Exactly. They're trying to draw you into shared experience through their shared
Right.
experience.
Oh wow, the audience did not like this movie.
So
What do they know? No, I'm just kidding.
The critics liked it better. That's kind of weird.
So what I would like you to do is now look up The
That does not
Witch.
surprise me at all at this movie.
Yeah, look up The Witch really quick.
The Witch,
Yeah.
is that spelled like the witch?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the, and then which. Are you serious right now? He lives here.
Which I'd say
That is Chalupa. He was here before
maybe
you.
one of the best horror movies in the
58
last 5
and
So,
90.
years.
so this
So the
this
audience
is the
did
same.
not like this movie either.
This is the same kind of horror, quote unquote horror film. The Witch is not a scary movie.
It's a thinker.
It's about the experience of
It's
this
more horror
girl.
than Midsommar.
It is because a dude gets gored by a goat and it's pretty horrifying, and a baby gets kidnapped, and there's witches that boil babies and whatnot. Not your kind of witch, the other kind of witch.
Burn her!
But this moves in a very similar way. She's not my witch. She's not a witch. She's my wife. This moves in a very similar way, where it's just like unfolding a story, and it doesn't necessarily have to have the same like punctuation points that a normal horror film would go for, or even like a normal suspense film would go for. And because it's not such an obvious take on the subject matter, and because The Witch is kind of a difficult watch because you have like almost a language barrier because they're speaking like an older form of English. Midsommar has like a cultural barrier, I think, to overcome, because this idea of like a village festival is not something that we have in the United States. But what's happening in the movie, like this life and fertility and connection with like nature festival that they're happening or having happens all over the place in Europe. Like this is actually like a really common thing. So in Europe, I feel like there's probably audiences that are going to enjoy this more because
They really resonate with
it's
it.
a dark take on something that they've experienced. But we don't experience anything like this, and it doesn't have the same notes that most horror movies have, and it doesn't build like the climax.
So is
isn't,
this? I'm sorry to cut you off. Is this? I don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works. I know now you have to prove somehow that you saw the movie.
Yeah.
But this isn't just the United States.
No, not at
Okay,
all. But
okay.
I think that's probably why it's at 63 instead of 50.
Okay.
You know
And we
what I'm
haven't
saying?
said that. So it's at 63% for the audience score, 83% for the critical
For the
score.
critical score. And I think part of it is this idea that this isn't meant to be shocking. It's meant for you to almost be sympathetic with the people that are in the village, because what they're doing only happens once every 90 years, and they believe that it's their renewal with the earth. Like they're doing something that's religious and important to them, and it's not meant to be shocking and horrible. And with the exception of the outsiders, everybody else wants to participate in it. The people that are sacrificed are happy to do it
Right.
because
They're very willing.
they're very willing to do it. It's a really fascinating movie to me because it's
I
a
think he fails at what you're saying twice, though.
okay.
Like the two characters that died just because they want to go home, I don't think you feel sympathetic for the village with those two characters.
I don't think so either. I think-
Everybody else that dies, I see the point of what's going on.
right.
I see like their intentions, but the one dude is just like, I just want to leave, and they're like, oh, well, blood eagle, or well, was it blood eagle?
Yeah,
Well,
pretty
blood
much.
eagle you instead and stuff you with flowers.
Yeah.
It's like that guy. I don't know where the sympathy was for that guy.
For the girl. Same thing for the girl. She
Yeah.
wanted to leave too.
Mhm.
Yeah, same the couple.
Yeah, but they're British. Nobody cares.
The other guy was peeing on
Oh
the
my
trees.
God.
So
The other guy was peeing on the tree.
I get why he got killed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck that guy.
But I don't. I mean, again, I was a passable movie. I'm probably never gonna watch the movie again. For me, past the themes and all that kind of stuff, there's just scenes in there that I didn't think needed to happen the way they happened. That's it. I just don't. I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of it. I think the wailing one with the guy once they jumped off the cave was once they hit, and then you had to listen to him kind of.
Well, that's I
dying.
consider that.
It's
the
in the
smashing.
they're two different scenes, but I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah. But
Because that's the one scene I agree to that I just like it didn't feel like the rest of the movie to me.
Where they jump off the cliff.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's
they could have done like I said. Like I think one's it is actually better. Like if you just saw them falling and then heard the splat and then everybody's like, what the fuck? And then like that would have actually
Use
been
your
more.
imagination devices.
so
But
I
they
think
did that with every other death in the movie. That's why I think it would have fit better. With every other death, like you don't see it, you don't know what's going on. It's just like
so I
that's
think
fucked up.
I think well, obviously I can't speak for the director because I didn't make the movie, but he does a very similar thing in Hereditary, where a kid is hanging out the window of a car and like a
Hereditary
light
is much
pole
more fucked up
just
than this
straight
movie.
decapitates him, and it's
Gross.
super, super jacked up. But what that does in Hereditary is it shocks you into paying attention to the movie, and I think that's the intention with Midsommar too. There's this whole build-up with them getting to Sweden, and everything's kind of weird, and everything's a little ominous. Like, the stuff with her family is super
Crazy.
fucked up.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like, that moment when you see what's going on, you're like, and her...
I had to pay attention.
Quick spoiler alert, the sister literally has the hose
tape.
duct taped
I
to
had
her
to
mouth.
pay attention because I didn't know what was going on first, and I was like, "Fuck! Holy shit!
Yeah.
That was crazy."
When I saw that, I was like,
As soon as
that's
I saw the hose snaking through the house, I'm like, oh, I know what's happening.
But
This is not good. But you don't expect a fucking hose duct taped to a person's face.
Mouth,
It's like,
yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
that's intense. That
She
you definitely want to
committed.
die.
She did. Well, so as
How do-
I
how
didn't
does
say
she-
I didn't say
Can
this.
you
up.
commit to that? Like, do you put yourself to sleep or something?
It knocked you unconscious. I
Yeah.
almost did it to myself.
But I mean I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
like,
concerning.
if you have it taped to your face, your body's gonna want to like get it the fuck off. I
mean,
feel like I would have to put myself under.
not if you're
somehow.
truly suicidal.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably.
like if you're truly suicidal, like people
Could be.
drown themselves. Like think about how hard it would be to force yourself to drown. You know,
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
makes sense.
and
And you
there's
have to be in a
you have
pretty
to be in a
dark
real
place.
dark place.
Yeah.
You have to be in a dark place where you say everything's dark. Mom and Dad are going too. Goodbye. Like, yeah,
Pretty much.
it's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
But
I think
I felt like Doyle too in that I wasn't quite, because of the theme, and I know that it's, you know, why they're doing what they're doing, but I wasn't sure if this was like every other fucking tourist movie I've ever seen, in that these people were dicks. Like, they just didn't. The two people died unnecessarily who wanted to go home. The guy who peed on the tree, yeah, he peed on the tree, but did anybody be like, hey, don't pee on trees, like they're sacred or whatever, you know what I mean? Before they fucking just murked him? Like, I don't feel.
Oh, that's not the only.
He was
Like
kind of
he was
being a
pretty. He
jackass.
was pretty
Jackass the whole
asshole
time.
American through the
Like
whole
when
movie.
when they take the tea, the mushroom tea, the first
And
time,
he's doing the flip out.
and he's just like freaking out at the tree and being
And he's
all
being
loud
very
and
loud,
like
yeah.
he's just ruining everybody's fucking
Everybody lay
time.
down.
He's being
Lay
the
down.
ugly American.
To be
He's
fair-
being the typical American
To be
tourist.
fair, not American or not, if I took mushrooms, I don't know what I would be like.
Oh no,
So,
neither
I
do
mean,
I.
it's not
You would not
fair
be
to be
screaming
like
like
that.
that.
I would
It wouldn't be
definitely
fair to
take
be
a
like,
nap.
that guy's a dick.
No, he was kind of acting like a dick the
But I
whole
mean,
time,
no,
from
I'm
beginning
with
to
you. I'm
end.
with you. But I mean, if I'm high on drugs, and because I've never experienced that, I'm probably not going to be very nice. And
Right.
it's just the way I know I am on the inside sometimes, especially when I drink heavily.
Yeah.
And so I'm probably gonna be a dick. Should I be murdered because of that?
Probably.
I don't think so. I have
Yes.
zero sympathy for the villagers. Like, it's just weird.
But
to
again,
me.
they don't see it as
Because you're the
murder.
American
No, I know,
they
they
see
don't.
it as
They don't.
sacrifice.
But I'm watching the movie. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not in their headspace. You know what I mean?
But I think that's the intention of the movie, is to put you in their headspace instead of the. I feel like the intention of the movie is to put you in their headspace as opposed for you to occupy the main character's headspace, with the exception of the girl
And I'm
who
like,
who becomes part of the group. Like,
Right.
did you
With
catch
that
like
weird
at
little
the
smile?
well? Did you catch too at the end of the dancing scene where
She was
they're
speaking
doing
Swedish.
the dancing competition and they begin to speak Swedish to each other, and then when she wins, they all hug her, and one of them says, "You're part of our family now,"
Right.
and she stops being a part of the outside and becomes part of the inside, and that I thought was a really fascinating like
Well,
look.
because she's looking for a family.
A family,
Yeah, that's-
because
I
her
mean,
family's
yeah,
gone.
Yeah, that.
With
Watching her go
unity.
through that shit was
And
tough.
whether, like,
It was hard.
yeah.
It was
whether the
not easy.
movie fails or succeeds, even the character who takes them to his village, he only takes his best friends that he made to the village. He doesn't like offer it up as some archaeological thing for the school. Like,
Yeah.
he considers it an honor for them to be
Right.
killed.
But
there.
to be there, and he
Which is
considers
weird.
it a huge honor for
Yeah.
her to be there. And the other thing that's interesting, the guys.
So
that,
now, if some weird guy from another country is gonna invite me somewhere, I'm not going. I'm,
Nope, I'm
I'm
out.
fucking
It's
out.
if you do go, you're for sure not peeing on trees.
Yeah, no, I'm not coming back. You might as well say goodbye to me.
I do like when they're showing off kind of like the village and stuff. The guy goes, "Are we gonna pretend like there's not a bear right there?"
Yeah.
There were some like weird little humor moments that were pretty perfectly punctuated in there.
I
Like
didn't understand.
like when he's in when he's in the meeting with the elder lady. And he goes, "Yeah, I think I ate one of her pubes." And the dude, she goes, "Yeah, that sounds about right."
I like the faces when he told everybody that he invited his girlfriend. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, they're like,
You guys told me to.
We hated her before her whole family was suicidal.
Do you think there was?
She didn't get much cooler after that.
Do you think there was a
Oh,
moment
shit.
where he was in the bear suit and thought to himself, "Fuck, I should have broken up with her"?
Yeah. There's probably lots of regrets in the bear suit. Shouldn't have come here. Should have broke up with her.
Definitely shouldn't have had that weird sex thing with that one lady and all
Should
the
have
other
got drugged and
people.
fucked the redheaded, like underage girl.
oh
with
yeah,
tits.
I like the extra push there at the end too. The one old lady just
Oh,
comes up
lady
behind her. She's
pushing
like,
her is.
Yeah.
oh my
There's
god,
so
that's
many,
helpful.
so many bizarre moments.
And
Like,
you know, I watched this movie at work, and like that scene is just like I'm just like fast forward, fast forward. 30 seconds at a time, and it's still going. Like 10 clicks in, I'm like, he's just fucking this underage girl for like 5 minutes of this
she's
movie.
not underage.
I think they play it like she is in the movie.
I don't think they
She's
do.
in Sweden. Maybe there's not an
So
underage
the
there.
thing
To me,
is,
she seemed like a 16-year-old.
I don't
in the
think so.
village, but-
And this is why.
I had that same
They
question.
have the cycle. They have their life cycle. 0 to 18 is growing up. 18 to 36.
Oh, I'm not saying that in her
Is-
cycle she's not fine, but like in American, it seemed like she was younger.
I don't think she's supposed to be. I think she's supposed to be in the 18 to 36 because
Okay.
that's when they're learning. And then
How to fuck?
36 to no, just they're in their learning
know.
phase. Then they go into their working phase and then their mentor phase.
So- so far, The budget was on the high end 10 million.
Oh, for
and it's
sure.
made 41 million. So after advertising,
Success.
it's probably netted 20 million or so.
Well, I mean
I
the
don't
way
know if they advertised well.
it got
I don't
this movie got 100% marketed as a straight horror film, just like The Witch did, and I think it's a big part of why audiences don't
I
like
don't
it.
really think In the Tall Grass was a horror movie.
I don't. Well, it's got a lot more.
It's more.
It's got a lot more horror
I actually was gonna
elements.
talk to you. When we get there, we'll talk about it. But I actually
Just
was
me?
at
Boils
work.
out?
No. At work is where I was going with this. At work, I was gonna talk to you about like where you felt those lines were as far as what a horror movie is, because I didn't.
I feel like In the Tall Grass is a horror. It's not a slasher movie.
So for
Because
me,
I used to call a lot of things scary movies, but not necessarily horror movies. You know what I mean?
so for me, the delineation between horror and something else is typically intention. So this movie, I don't feel is meant to scare you.
Right.
It's meant to take you through like kind of a shocking
Crazy.
and intense experience.
Yeah.
experience, but it's not meant to like scare you. Sorry about that.
It's fine.
This movie
In the
does-
Tall Grass is meant to scare you. There's jump scares. There's
I felt
gory
more
moments.
tense than I did
Oh,
scary.
it is a crazy
Yeah.
tense movie. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But like all those moments where you're like, holy shit, that was
Right.
yikes. You know, this movie doesn't have that. That does. A movie like Suspiria really rides that cusp.
Yeah.
But the
I
intention
didn't know that was a
at
scary
the,
movie.
at the very end, though, with the introduction of the witches
Right.
and all that intense shit at the end, it's meant to be scary. It isn't. It isn't.
Right.
It's just really
When
intense
that girl
and
was
weird.
getting bent up, I was like, "Fuck!
Exactly.
Whoa, where did that come from?"
And like, I think the intention of a movie like that is to scare you.
Right.
But an intention.
That makes sense. I
and
like
then
that.
the intention of a movie like Eyes Without a Face, which is also like an Italian giallo movie, is not to scare. It's more suspense and mystery. Even though it's intense and violent and bloody, and would largely get termed a horror movie, I don't think that's the intention of it. I think it's more like a mystery. So I don't know. That's just how I feel.
I like it.
Intention
I like the
is a
explanation.
attention is a huge thing in movies. I think I was talking with my friend Candy today, one of my skaters, about how you typically like one kind of movie and I like another kind of movie, and it's because you largely gauge the success or failure of a movie on its numbers, which is 100%
I don't
real.
think that's true though.
Sometimes you do.
So there's delineations in that.
Yeah.
I like a lot of movies that I don't think are successful
Right.
are good. For me, when I talk about the goodness of a movie in generalities, that's the only way, really, in my opinion, to find that.
And that's what I mean. Like, and that's
I like a lot of movies that are awful.
right. But I'm saying, like, you always couch the success or failure of a movie like in statistics, which is totally fine.
In general, not with me.
Yeah. So for me, I feel that I typically will call a movie a success or failure based on whether or not the director effectively got their message across. So for me, this movie is a huge success because I feel like he did exactly that. Maybe just because I understood what he was going for, or at least I feel like I did, and it created an emotional response in me, which is all I want from a movie. I don't care if a movie's good or bad, well acted, poorly, crappy budget, whatever.
Sounds like crap.
No,
They're messing around.
just
It's just ghosts. Don't worry about it. But this movie's really, really successful, largely because it evoked an emotional response in me. Whereas a movie like, I don't know, something big and popular that just doesn't. It's successful. Transformers is a great example. It's successful in the sense that it made a shitload of money, but it does absolutely zero for me. So in my brain, it's an unsuccessful
right. And
movie.
that I don't think maybe I've said that enough for you to delineate what I'm talking about.
No, I get
because
it.
I would say that I did not like this movie at all. But it was successful because it made money.
Exactly.
A lot of people went to see it. You know what I mean? So
And for me,
there's probably a better average of people who. Well, there's probably a better average of people who went to see it and liked it than not.
Yeah.
Even though I'm one of the ones who didn't.
I don't even know how much it was released because it was pretty much.
I don't either.
It was out for
It was
good old
it was
second
in and
day.
out. It was in and out of the theaters fast.
It was released September
It
24th.
had a few failures.
2019.
I like the way they did things. What's up with it being daylight all the time and then they just give up on it?
No, they never give up on
It
it.
becomes night like 3
No,
times.
no. It becomes night for like an hour or two.
2 hours.
Yeah,
I
and it's
don't-
never,
Because
it's
it's the
never,
midnight sun,
it's
right?
never night. It's just kind of always twilight.
No, but it is totally fucking night when he sneaks out and goes to the.
Yeah, when he's taking pictures of the book,
Oh, I guess
It's dark.
that one
it's
time it's dark.
It's like 2 hours of darkness during.
I know. I feel like they should have just kept the whole daylight.
It's always daylight.
I feel like
The
that's
only-
their intention, and then they just kind of.
No, because
No.
even at the very beginning they specifically mentioned that there's like 2 hours where it's basically night.
She even asks him when she's waking up. I've seen it twice. Did it even get dark? And he said it got a little bit dark for like an hour. And he
Right.
says exactly that.
Right.
I think, but
Not like it gets nighttime at all.
remember they're also on shrooms that entire time.
That's true.
And if you know about how it works, there is that hour or two. That's why they go to sleep, and it's kind of
I
dark.
don't know about there. I know in Alaska it doesn't. When it's like that time of year, it doesn't get dark. It just gets. It's
I
like the
guess-
sun dips and comes back up.
I guess they explained it away by saying, there's like an hour or two of
Yeah.
mostly darkness. So
I just thought it should have kept the start where they go all the time.
yeah,
The daylight. I thought that was one of the best parts of the movie was that it's.
daylight.
It's happening out in the
The
open.
crazy
Yeah.
stuff is happening in really bright sunlight.
Yeah.
That I loved.
That's I feel like what he's saying is that it's out in the open, like they don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just intentional. Like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Yeah.
because for them it's just an important thing that they need to do. It's normal.
But then they hit away. I felt like they hit away some of the violence in the nighttime thing, which I didn't feel like fit in the movie.
Yeah.
But then also, the third person disappears. I'm gonna start asking questions.
Right.
The dumb American.
They start asking questions right away.
Well, they do with the couple because she's like, why is he leaving her?
And then
But then
and
after
then
that,
she
the
disappears
one
and
who
people are
dis-
like, where the hell did the lady
Yeah,
go?
but then the dick guy disappears. Like, he's probably off just doing something. And then the black guy disappears. And I don't give a shit about that guy. And I was like, I might not give a shit about him either, but he's
Well,
number 4.
But they also try to explain it away by saying he took something with him, which he didn't. But they're saying this book is missing, and the black guy's missing.
I just feel like people are stupid in these movies.
Well, yeah, that's
I mean,
normal.
yeah. No,
People are
I'm
stupid
with
in
you.
movies.
I tell you, we've done a lot of out of the country traveling. We've done some. I don't see that many Americans like this out in real life.
No, I think it's a stereotype.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
what happens is a lot.
I
of,
just don't. We didn't see it that
a
much.
lot of tourists that go to big touristy places like Rome and London
Right.
and Paris and stuff, like obviously London's going to be a bad example of what I'm about to say, but they assume everyone speaks English. They assume that you're going to know what, that somehow they're going to know what you want if you yell. If you just talk louder and louder and louder in English.
I will tell you, I get that more here than anywhere.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like here in my
In
house.
the United
No,
States.
just
Yeah.
What? Shut up! No, I mean, I just think it's a stereotype because when people don't know a language, they just speak their own language louder. And I think that's across the board. I think that happens with everybody. Because I've definitely had someone speak Spanish to me louder and louder and faster and faster.
Yeah,
And
they
it-
should be doing it slower.
Yeah.
What about food?
I agree.
You have an hour
We're
and
not
15
feeding
minutes.
you.
Go
I
sit
agree
down.
with you.
Your last meal was your pho.
Don't cross. Stay over there.
Just kidding.
Uh,
You're gonna get food when there's food.
We are.
If you want to
30 minutes
continue
in.
with the
Oh,
face,
okay.
you get 0 hits.
well, so let's talk about thumbs up, whatnot. Me,
So-
big thumbs up.
I would give it a 1/4 out of 10 stars.
Really, you disliked it that much?
Yeah.
I do want to.
One, I don't
Oh, I
like.
did too. About
I don't like
3/4
the-
of the way through it, I was like, this is very slow moving, and I don't think Juan's gonna enjoy that.
No, that's not true. I like slow moving movies. I don't like the American stereotype. I don't like deaths for no reason, for what I perceive to be no reason. And it's just little things that I just was like, this is like, maybe not the story, but this is like every other fucking tourist movie I've ever seen. And it was lame to me.
Yeah.
Touristas was one that I went into thinking I was going to hate it, really liked it.
Randomly
It's
a really
weird.
good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be awful, but
One
I
of
want
the
to watch it.
One of the strangest experiences of my life was coming out of Touristas and being like, oh, that was really good.
It was weird.
I think
I
you
agree.
went with me to that. It was like you, me, and Steve, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I went and saw it.
I just remember watching it and being like, damn, that was a really good movie.
I also thought that was gonna be like every other American tourist movie,
Yeah.
but I was like, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. And it just,
That movie's
I was
fucking murder crazy.
different.
though.
Yeah.
How
I
about
enjoyed
you?
it a little more.
I like the movie.
Yeah. How would you give it on the out of 5 out of 10 stars rating?
4
Out of
Out
10
of-
or 5?
out of 5. Out of 10, 7 and 1/2.
7 and 1/2.
Yeah, not quite.
If I give it, I would honestly, like, this is my honest opinion. It's not just me being crazy. Like, I would give this movie like 9 out of 10. Like, I really, so this is subject matter that I am familiar with and really enjoy, like, experiencing. Movies like Wicker Man and The Witch and stuff like that, I absolutely love. And so this movie just really resonated with a lot of the things that I enjoy.
It held my
And
interest.
I fucking loved
It
the
definitely held my
pacing.
interest.
I definitely, if I had to do something on my phone, I'd pause the movie, which is not something I do for most movies, especially when I'm at home. Like Stuber, I was loving the shit out of it while I played a game on my phone. You know, like this movie.
Probably a movie
This
you
movie, I
can.
went boom and watched it. And when I didn't I fell asleep. And a lot of times, if I fall asleep during a movie, I just fuck it. I woke up this morning and I finished the movie, like because I
Thank
was
you for
enjoying
waiting
it
for
so
me.
much.
But,
Yeah.
for me.
Mel, how many stars would you give this out of 10?
Or 5.
Or 5?
Or thumbs up.
4 out of 5, 8 out of 10, thumbs up. It held my interest. Same thing that you said. Like, I understood the subject matter. It was really fascinating to me. And I think I even told you that, I don't feel like these people did something necessarily wrong. It's just their pagan traditions.
Yeah.
So,
I think they did something wrong at the point that they took in people that did not have a choice.
didn't sign up for this.
Right.
No,
That- I
and-
agree with
and
that.
I agree with that.
I think they just think that it's important that there be people from the outside.
The one
to
thing I
help.
wondered is if they didn't know that they didn't know they had a choice. Because there's like blatant, you're probably going to get murdered scenery everywhere. Like from
Yeah.
the first drapery scene,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
people are going to get dead. Like in the wallpaper, it's everywhere. It's like,
Like-
you're going to get fucked up if you stay here. And
I do wonder if there's like a moment where, because the people that are from there are so isolated,
yeah.
I do wonder if there is some, oh, you didn't know?
There might
You
be.
know what I'm saying?
There might be because they send the guy
Yeah.
somewhere and he brings
Brings them
people
back.
So
and I'm
you
like,
never
oh, thanks
know.
for bringing them back. That's so cool of of you. Why
I'm,
are you
I'm,
guys
I'm
happy about
definitely
it?
saying they did a poor job of communicating it. in your face.
Yeah, they definitely did not communicate. Hey, you're probably
Hey, you're
gonna
gonna
die. We're
I
definitely,
feel like the
we're
black,
definitely
the black
going
guy,
to fill you with roses.
The black guy got himself killed legitimately. I feel like.
Yeah.
They were like, "Hey, don't fuck with the book."
And he's like, quick, go take pictures. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because that's the guy who plays Chidi in The Good Place, and I looked at Gabe and I'm like, oh, this is the bad place.
I like that.
Like,
So
he's
freaking
spoiled it
weird.
for
I like that.
Oh man, look at those endless comments.
Is your mic on? I
Yeah,
don't think
it's
your mic's
bouncing.
on.
See it?
I do like how they're like
Usually if there's a green light.
It's because it's faced the other way.
to the villagers that they burned that were like accepting of it at the end, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Here, take this and feel no pain," and they're like
The yew
fucking
tree?
yelling their asses
No,
off.
only the one guy,
Only the one guy.
and
Yes.
he's the guy
Oh, I
that.
thought I heard multiple.
No,
yelling.
he's only the one guy, and he actually had refused it.
Yeah, he didn't take the
He
yew.
says, "Take the U and feel no pain." The guy goes, "No."
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was weird.
I want to feel getting burned.
I think he
And
he
then
wants to experience
and
it.
then you see the people's experience with him. They're also wailing, and so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, the shared experience aspect of it, I thought was really, really
That's
interesting.
creepy.
Yeah.
Like that's a very successful part because it makes me feel like these fucking people are crazy. Like just
Well,
from looking at it.
and I
It's
think-
normal, happy go lucky to them, but it gives me the feeling that I think that he wanted me to feel.
Yeah, and I think part of it has to do with the hallucinogenics that they're taking the entire time.
I
Is
like
they
that part,
really
too.
key in on each other's emotions and like embrace that instead of letting it go.
I think that's what I told you that I enjoyed with like the hallucinogenics, because I mean, let's face it, I've done.
You had
shrooms.
hallucinogenics too?
At some point in my life, yes.
Not today.
Not today. It's been a few years.
Yesterday we
But
just watched the movie.
Just regular marijuana.
a lot of movies, whenever they showed like somebody's on a trip, everything's all real weird, and that's not how it is. You know, like the subtle shifts and the slight paranoia and whatever. I looked at Gabe because I know he's never done shrooms. Like, that's pretty accurate. That's what it's like. So they got
Well,
it
also,
right.
I've seen a couple of people.
It paints a
fucking
pretty good
weirded out.
picture of how those things probably came to be in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like it's an ancient culture just fucking doing drugs all day, and like all this weird shit they do makes sense to them.
Exactly.
Well, I could feel I could understand the feeling because we went to Chichen Itza when we were on our honeymoon, and we went to the main Mayan ruins. They're the big ones, and that was something that I learned there because I'd always thought that when you played the game, if you lost, you were killed, and that was the sacrifice. But the winners were the ones who were sacrificed because they were strong and they won, and I was like, fuck, that's cool, and it resonated because you're standing in a place where you get those ancient civilizations that did shit crazy to me to think about it.
To the modern mind, it seems insane, but to somebody that has no experience of like science, and they're like, how do we make our land more fertile? Well, if you bury things in the land, it becomes more fertile. So they see the place where like a person died and got buried, and they see that it's more fertile, and they go, oh, well, I guess we need to do like 9 more of these. You know, it's a really fascinating way to do it. And dancing, lots of dancing.
It was cool. It was really cool.
I dug it. That was awesome watching myself pick up the bottle right there for some reason.
It's like that delayed mirror.
Yeah.
That horror trope that happens whenever there's a mirror.
Oh man, well,
So we're good.
yeah. So that's our review of Midsommar. Join us for our next episode where we're going to be talking about our pop culture classic, The Cube.
Why doesn't like it?
Is it the
No, I'm just joking.
what?
He doesn't.
I was like, what? Is it the Cube? I think
No,
it's
it's
just
just Cube.
It's
You're
just
right.
Cube.
It's just Cube.
The Cube is like a 60s movie that's way worse.
Blah, blah, blah. Find us, obviously, if you're watching us on Facebook or Twitch, you know how to, or YouTube or Twitch, you know how to do that. tinyurl.com/TOTLBTube. Twitch is at Outside Longbox. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thinkingoutsidethelongbox and on Twitter at Outside Longbox. Everything else you can find on our website, www.totlb. Yeah, www.totlb.com. And of course, most important, patreon.com/totlb. Thank you to all our Patreon supporters. As you can see,
I'm gonna say it now. If this gets off the ground, all of the Patreon supporters will get a free calendar.
Oh yeah, pin-up calendar. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about that later. Yeah, probably just not in one of the episodes. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
I'm gonna keep the stream. Oh, sorry.
The kids
No,
want to
you're
know
gonna
where they
cut
can
that
eat. Your dog took a
I
shit.
know
You
what I'm
just
doing.
stepped in shit.
No, she walked past
Step
it.
on it.
Hey, stream, we're gonna keep going.
What do you need?
Still have about an
You
hour.
sound like rednecks. Oh, there's shit on the floor.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Can somebody go pick up the dog?
Sorry, Gizmo just has poop falling.
No,
on
it
his
just made me laugh. The perception on the other side of the camera.
butt. Right.
I have a new puppy. I can understand that.
All right, let me go
He's
ahead.
not new.
Babe, you want to come sit over here? We'll make you room.
The dog will take a shit 30 seconds after it takes a shit.
Babe, will scoot over.
We're gonna keep streaming, guys. There'll probably be like little breaks and stuff like that. Yeah. Can you go on
I
Twitch?
just
Yeah,
watched
I got
Sophia
afraid
swing
of
back.
water.
I'm
Can
on
you
Twitch.
go on Twitch and just comment on
And I
Twitch to
use
make
it,
sure
so
it's
yeah.
coming up?
Yeah, I've been commenting. Did you not? Does it not show up there?
Okay.
Or does it flash across
This
the
is
screen?
YouTube.
I'm a horrible
No,
moderator.
this is Twitch. I'm on Twitch.com.
Oh yeah. Oh, those came out. So
You
I
take
need
the
to.
pies off the
Oh,
stove,
can you
dude?
go onto YouTube and test there?
I'm not sure if the fridge soap pile will like melt on the
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't put that on the stuff.
I just thought about that. I don't know what
Fortunately,
Have the dogs been fed yet?
Probably melted on.
No. So the pie that was on the bottom is the one that needs to go in the oven.
So where is it gonna show?
What's that?
Where is it gonna show?
That would probably stay on
It
top
should
of
just be on YouTube on our channel
No,
live.
no, I know that, but if I type, is it just gonna show up over there?
It should show up right here.
So about
Hannah, may I see you?
so where am I looking now?
You bet.
It didn't show up.
Talk about Cube, Ice
I
Cube.
got both feet.
Cube Good
Okay,
Junior.
Just delayed.
Yeah.
Alright.
Do you want to move one of those chairs over here? There's space over here. He's got space to move.
Water
Over
and
here.
I'm just gonna use the restroom.
Yay, nay.
I'll come sit, but
Okay, I don't know what you're doing. You
standing
haven't moved.
What happened?
So just
I
take his
fell
seat.
off of a chair. Ow. I
She
literally
smacked her
fell off
kitchen
of a chair.
Sorry.
Broke your arm?
No, she sprained it.
No, I tore the ligaments.
Oh, you sprained it.
You got a weak ass arm.
Put that bitch ass on.
Gotta take that arm to the gym.
Yes, we know.
Get down.
Close the kitten room. Murder speaking.
I want the kitten.
It's murdering him. He's allergic to cats.
Do you need a Benadryl?
Yeah, probably.
Sorry, I have to feed him.
My eyes are getting more and more Asian as we go along.
Hannah, what?
On Twitch.
Sorry, there's a lot of Asians on Twitch.
I'm sorry.
I realized that I'm doing a horrible job of teaching my
Ashton.
dog its name, so I never call it its name.
See if she has a plate in
Hey,
there.
Drake, where you going?
Put for the
Let's say hi to my
kittens.
babies.
I call it Ewok, York Roto Bag.
I'll get it ready for you.
Pretty often.
Hold on, there's a needle on the
She looks like a fucking Ewok, dude.
Good thing.
She did like a little Ewok hood.
Whose glasses are this? Okay, give this to me.
Babies.
Have you seen any of the submissions? You
And then if you could record that.
I saw one. Some server guy or something.
server guy?
He's like a server.
Oh, he's a server.
You have
Yes.
the plate
Okay.
for
Yes.
I didn't see when you ordered that.
Okay.
Are we live?
Some of them are. Yeah.
Who's the photographer?
Bailey, here's your
Her
glasses
name
so
is
they don't
Anna.
get sat on.
She's one of the. She's done photography, but she's one of their friends. Why do you want a different one?
Just to be honest, I have a lot more experience photography myself.
You have one?
Have you seen
Is
one
that
of
what
the
you just said, or
photography
you
I
are?
used to?
No. Oh no. You could go in and do it too.
All right.
I don't care.
I'm sorry.
All
did
it's
or you
doing
did
is
not
giving
do
the
that?
people more pictures. So
Oh, I
if
just
was
got them.
Okay.
Two
Can you
photographers.
just give Loki
I
some?
don't know how to speak English.
That we
Thank
should
you,
share.
Ashton, I
Maybe
really
she's way better.
Oh,
I have no
But
idea.
like the 3 or 4 photos they were all out of focus. So I was like, if we're gonna do a calendar.
But if you want to go in there with her, I'm 100% okay with that. So we got this one.
That could just be a weird thing. She could be way better.
She's a rockin'
Could I do a roller derby one?
I don't know if your dad wants you in our pinup calendar.
Yeah, because there's gonna be some fat nerds
Unless it's like weird.
following you, and I'm not okay with
It's
that.
a weird photo.
Yeah, man.
You're gonna be
Well,
there.
I meant on Bailey being with the pinup counter, not that lady.
Oh no.
Yeah.
She just said it, and I was like, I don't know if your dad would want you to be in.
Am I in the frame sitting here? And is that chair in the frame sitting there?
Yeah, okay. Everything's good.
Cool.
Also, I don't
can see
think there's
you
any
too,
comments.
Oh
Huh?
yeah, duh.
The activity feed is where the comments are, right?
Yes.
I'm looking to.
No.
Something gets missed.
Comment-
Here's kitten
Comments
food.
you'll see pop up right here and right here. So
Oh.
That girl.
Yeah, what are you trying to?
All those hangers need to come off.
'Cause I've been
the
looking
door.
into
that
Why
twice.
you asking?
Your wife was going to. And I assume something happened. Things were forgotten. Oh, should we look at the submissions?
Yes. And I've been telling everybody that
I feel
we're.
like she's taking it too sexy. We gotta take the.
Yeah, I got
Is that what we're trying to do, or?
Yeah, we're trying to make a good looking calendar.
I thought we were
What do
just
you
trying to do
mean?
something fucked up and weird.
I'm
No.
gonna be throwing a pair of Bailey's pants.
Okay.
There you go.
Toss out the dog.
I don't understand what just happened.
Okay, well,
Okay.
then we can't even be in the damn thing.
You gotta speak
It's up to whatever.
what?
I told him, I was like, if
There.
we get enough submissions, maybe we just do like 1 or 2 pages together or something, and then just let them do their own, because there's a lot
We
of.
should each
there's
do
a
our
good-
own page, and then we'll pick other people. You know.
I think what he's saying though is so that if the focus is to try and make a legit calendar, that we should be in it.
No, but that's the point.
The congruency, if
It's
it's like.
not a legit calendar if we're not in it.
Because then it's like all these people like taking it real serious, like being like sexy pinups, and then it's like you being a Buddha. Like it's just like it doesn't make any
Well,
sense.
I was gonna try and do something serious. I wasn't gonna try and do something. I mean, it might be funny and weird because I'm fat, but I was gonna try and do something serious.
Yeah.
Because I definitely don't want the other people to feel like we're fucking around because they don't know us.
No, I want to do something like pinup is fun. Like
Right.
that's the thing. We're not gonna take it seriously across the board. I want them
No,
to
right.
do something fun
Right.
and silly. You know?
I was thinking of doing a Buddha in a Buddha pose with a gate behind me and Satan.
Well, I wanna do a wizard. I already told one my idea.
A wizard. Little fat wizards. Rad, I see that one.
As long as it's not using like adult. Here, I got this.
Hello,
You can
Twitch.
use
We're still here.
adult.
Yeah.
I don't think we do it.
Alright, give me just a second to set this up.
Whatever my cake that is, if it breaks, it is the most awful tasting thing in the world.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry, they got a little wet at some point.
oh no, it's fine. I mean, I'll take it even if it was worse than that because it's what needs to happen. But I was not expecting that flavor from that. Was that the only submission?
No, all these are submissions.
Oh, open them up. Let's get going.
We got this one. This lady sent us some new pictures. There's one that I'm gonna talk to you guys about once the crowd thins a little bit. So she sent us these 3 pictures. She said she's completely bald now and stuff like that.
No, I don't care what they look like.
No,
Most of that characters, they're like interesting.
I think this is somebody they know because there was somebody on their Facebook.
Are you sharing your Red Bull with me?
Can. This is almost empty. You want
In
me
the
to
morning,
start this one?
all of this stuff is actually recyclable.
Yeah,
Was your light up each?
We'll look at them all.
We'll do it.
I need you to open it.
Oh,
Like,
Because I'm
I would
capable.
ask Ashton.
The one submission I saw at the server guy never know picture.
No,
Everything. It's not the guy who picture it, it's just the apps.
Yeah.
That was one
Thank
we
you.
actually talked about.
What's that?
So the more and more submissions we get, the more and more I'm like, we don't want like overtly like just tits or dicks or anything weird. We want normal.
Well, I didn't know we were going that far.
No, well,
No.
there. But in the case that because we advertised it on Craigslist too, so I didn't know what the fuck we were gonna get from there. So I just wanted to put it out there.
I don't know. We went to the Craigslist.
Dana put the ice
That's where
cream in
we've
the
gotten
refrigerator.
most of the people interested, honestly.
And it'll be soft.
That's funny because I have no idea.
Dana put
what
the
we're
ice cream
doing.
in the fridge.
I've
Did you
tried
stick it
to
back in the
explain
freezer?
what we're
Yes.
doing.
Oh, yeah.
What's
I've
that?
tried to be as open and honest with everybody as possible.
Come join us, Mel. You've seen this movie.
Craigslist.
Craigslist.
Craig.
Craigs.
I have time to go to the bathroom.
Craigslist.
Yeah, just come back
You
in
live?
a minute.
Yeah, just for them.
I'm sorry.
That's not
It's
recorded.
not recording.
Damn it.
I don't record until it's time.
Hey, don't worry about vacuuming. Your dad and I can get it sometime this week. There's just so many fucking leaves coming in. It's pointless.
It's
I
excessive.
don't fucking care.
I do lots of chores, man. There's no one in there. Lights off.
Chores.
Chores.
So many chores.
Like a Mexican with chores.
Do so many chores. I have the biggest chores list.
Do you want to do an intro?
Yeah, 48. Yeah.
We ordered one half pies.
Holy crap! You don't want the boot. This is episode 148 of Thinking Outside the Longbox with Juan, Doyle, Gabe, Alicia, Mel, little bit of Ashton, Bailey on the couch, probably dogs, and some kids screaming in the basement.
No, we're saying anything funny.
Yeah, I know.
That one was just normal. It was too long. I don't have anything.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 148 of Thinking Outside the Longbox. I'm Gabe.
Alicia.
I'm on.
I'm Mel.
Everybody heard.
I
it
know,
right over there.
they probably did. Who's that over there in the corner?
Oh, I'm Ashton.
I think Bailey said.
I'm belay.
Belay.
I'm below.
Belegly.
You got 2 dogs in the kitchen.
Yep. There's a lot of people here tonight. Yeah, it's kind of nice. I like it. It's a cool fall, cold, fucking cold.
I do
day.
like this cast.
The wind is like ridiculous.
Cold fall day.
It's not a cold fall day. It's fucking freezing.
Oh, dude. Don't
We're
even-
live
don't
on.
even-
We're
my
live
legs,
on YouTube
my legs
and
are
Twitch
fine.
right now.
My legs don't get cold at all. It's
Right.
from everything else,
Well,
and then
it's-
Sane
don't get
hitting
cold.
me in the face.
We're live on YouTube and Twitch. Be sure, if you're a podcast listener, be sure to check us out every other Sunday. Recording tinyurl.com/TOTLBTube or on Twitch at Outside Longbox. And of course, we do our fan interaction on the Facebookins. So yeah, that's about it. This episode, we're going to be talking about this recording session's pop culture classic, Cube, released in 1998 or 7. Is it 7?
Yep.
Yeah, because I was looking
In
with
front of
Kyle.
Oh,
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
nice.
I do my part, sir.
I
Are
know
you
you did.
okay?
Did Bailey
Don't murder
die on camera?
No, not quite.
Office.
Is
If
that
she
that was a
does,
part of
is
the
she
show
the
that we're
ghost of
talking
the
about?
That wasn't part of the plan.
That'd be cold.
I would wonder.
Bailey dies and we try to summon her.
Woo!
Cops said we should have called the ambulance.
Yeah.
Instead, we just tried to get her on the video.
She wouldn't talk to us. It was weird.
Poke, 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 poke.
Super bad, though.
Very dead.
Super dead.
Superfly?
No.
Jimmy Snuka?
No.
No, okay. Just checking.
He's a
Is
rapist.
this the
Is he a
same?
rapist?
Ooh.
No.
He was charged with.
Yeah, I think he is.
He was not. I don't
I
think
don't
he was
convicted. I think
Yeah.
he was just charged.
Allegedly.
He was-
Alleged rapist.
Apparently.
Yeah. He did a lot of suggest.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! I have to show you this cool Coke video, Coke and Pepsi video. It's hilarious. That made me think of it. I don't know why, but it's hilarious. It's so funny. I'll show you after.
Right on. So this episode we're going to be talking about 1997's Cube, directed and co-written by
Vincenzo Natali, a product of the Canadian Film Centre's first feature project. It stars Nicole DeBoer, Nikki
Why are you standing?
Guadagni, David Hewlett, Andrew Miller, Julian Richings, Wayne Robson, and Maurice Dean Wint. Star as individuals trapped in a giant cube.
a giant cube.
Why do you squint
They're
so
trapped
much?
inside of a
'Cause I
cube.
can't
Technically,
see.
they're in cubes within cubes.
Yeah, they're in cubes within a giant Rubik's Cube, which is inside of a dome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably
It's like a
also
cask.
cube shaped.
Seems really complex. So
It also seems like something that somebody would notice somewhere.
yeah, well, yeah, it's in there. It's underneath Area 51. Shut up, Pickles.
Oh, that's what they were Naruto running for.
Who would Naruto run to the cube? Fucking I'd Naruto run away from it.
So, premise of the movie: several people are trapped inside of a cube. They're trying to escape it. The cube itself is puzzle, like a puzzle. If you're gonna talk over me talking,
I was trying to make sure our friend didn't die. I was trying to get him a Benadryl.
I already got him a Benadryl. He's fine.
I'll put that out.
And you better not die because I'm not picking you up.
I'm not saying.
If I die, I'll go outside.
Hey guys, I'm dying. Please.
On the public street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way we
No
don't
homeless.
get charged. Yeah,
You could
no
haunt the
homeless.
street.
Not in here though.
I'll hunt up there.
Could you imagine 50 years from now, people are in this house and like, I swear to God, I see a ghost of a really fat dude just hanging out in the
He
street.
doesn't even need to make noises, bro. He just.
Ghosts don't breathe, bro.
I'm not a ghost, I'm alive, bitch. It's just how I sound. I just miss my friends, they moved.
Let's be real. You never move out of this.
Ghosts are gonna try. The
Oh, fuck,
cows
I'm
are
gonna
gonna
pass
go
out.
him too.
Right. There's gonna be just ghost cows and Doyle.
What's
up, guys?
He's gonna be riding
I
one.
wish there were ghost cows.
Oh,
Make
man.
my job so much worse.
Oh fuck.
Go outside from 1 to 2:30. Ghost cows.
It's the cow witching hour. Alright, let me try that again. So, premise of the movie is several people are trapped inside of a mechanical cube that is full of traps. They're going from cube to cube, which are inside of other cubes, which is inside of a giant cube, which is under a dome. There's only one way out. Math is involved.
Yeah.
Boo! It's astronomical.
I would
You
say-
don't want that boat! There are so many randomly great quotes in this movie.
Yeah, that one bitch, I swear, at one point she goes, cats! Fucking cats! And I'm like, what does that mean?
Oh, the fucking the paranoid girl.
Yeah.
The older lady. Yeah.
The
Super
lady that
freaking
thinks it's like
cats.
aliens, and then she thinks it's the government, and oh man, she's the most obnoxious character
I
in the
agree.
film by like
I
a
agree.
long shot.
I understood when he dropped her.
I'm not gonna lie, that was my first thought when I saw this movie in like '98 or whatever when I saw it on VHS.
Oh.
Yeah, is when he dropped
When did it
her.
come out?
97.
97.
When he drops her, like I remember thinking to myself back then, oh, finally, you know.
Wouldn't it be
she's-
funny if it was just like they're at the bottom? She's like, oh shit.
there's like a bouncy thing at the
Yeah.
bottom. She's like, oh, and there's like a door, and she's like at home now.
I had the exact same satisfaction as when they killed Lori off in The Walking Dead. I was like,
Oh, you do hate Lori.
Wow,
You do
yeah.
hate
A
Lori.
lot of Lori hate everywhere, I think.
Oh, Doyle is an exceptional Lori hater.
she's the worst.
He just hates every Lori because of her now.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you got that lady from The Walking Dead's name. You suck.
Yeah. Probably a terrible mom and wife.
Wow. My God.
You're
Oh,
mean.
there's Doyle.
She's a bad
Found him.
character.
Found Doyle.
There he is.
There he is.
76% audience score, 63% critical rating.
How does this have a worse critical rating? Like
I
this movie.
don't know.
This movie's really
I
good.
think so.
Because the acting's terrible.
This is true. The acting is pretty rough, but like the concept is really cool, and like
The concept is really convoluted. I like the movie,
It's
but it's
very
like,
convoluted.
put them in a cube. Let's not explain shit.
one of the
You need
most
fucking math.
And
One of
it's
my-
huge. I'm telling you, nobody.
Realistically,
Americans
the way
are
that the others
weird.
just stay in the one room and only moves like 5 times and you're good.
yeah. Well, no,
Americans
that's
are
like the
weird.
whole-
We leak everything.
Yes.
Everything gets leaked. You're not building this giant fucking structure, no matter if it's going under the ground or not, without somebody knowing about it.
And somebody telling CNN
Yeah.
or Fox
Oh,
News.
hey, did you see that fucking giant thing out in the middle of the fucking desert?
No.
Yeah. Oh, shit, all
So
right.
my bad.
In the early 90s, maybe though. Internet
No
wasn't as
way.
progressive.
No
I
way.
think so.
Dude,
How fast did like the Roswell shit? It went pretty quick through a town. You know
Well,
what I
yeah,
mean?
because they posted on the newspaper
But
that an
yeah.
alien craft had landed.
Okay, so that's a craft. Let's say it's 50 feet by 100 feet. This thing is supposed to be fucking massive.
Miles across. Yeah.
It's just weird to
Yeah,
me.
There's like
But you think
mile-long
about,
underground
you think
nuclear
about-
test sites in Nevada
and you think about,
that people
like,
don't think about all the time.
if you think about Area 51, like we all know it's there,
Right,
but we don't know what's in it.
right.
So if there's just like a giant dome on a military base, people are gonna be like, "There's something crazy in there. We just don't know what." Like,
Nah,
Cool.
I'd be like,
Everybody
killing
be-
people in there.
that's where they keep that giant cube.
I mean, granted, it's just a solid waste of money. Like,
Yeah.
you could accomplish whatever they're trying to
What do you
accomplish.
say? That's the point.
So I
I forgot
think
what it was made for.
one of the most fascinating things about about this movie to me that has nothing to do with the plot, the acting, the story, is that they literally needed 2 set pieces.
Yes.
They needed 2 cubes,
Yeah.
and they just moved one like on top or to the side,
And they changed the lighting.
and they changed the lighting. Fucking genius! Like this movie, so you should look this up. This movie had to be
It was
dirt
made
cheap to make.
for $350,000.
Jesus,
That's
less
so
than $1
cheap.
million, dude. Like that's
And
crazy
at
for
the
a
time,
movie.
it made $9 million at the box office.
By now, it has to
Huge
have made a
success.
huge amount of money too.
What's weird is how so many actors from that movie became good at acting.
Really?
later.
So I don't know
these
these people.
That black guy's been in other movies for sure, and that other guy was Stargate Atlantis forever.
Oh, that's right. I had forgotten about that.
The other people I don't. The chick I'm pretty sure has been in other movies too. The really annoying chick.
So one thing that was really weird to me about this movie is I have never, until this watching of it, I have. So legitimately, everybody just saw you half crawl on camera. Like you accomplished nothing, sir.
Well, next time I'm just gonna walk.
Yeah, just walk right in front of it. You're okay.
So,
Everybody else has.
Maurice Dean Wint, the police officer.
Yeah, he's been in lots of
It
stuff.
looks like his latest film was in 2000. Oh no, his latest film was in 2014. My Daughter Must Live.
What?
And he was his latest. He was in the X-Men show, RoboCop series, Wildcats, Mythic Warriors, RoboCop again, John Callahan Quads, Captain Flamingo, and the Dating Guy.
Did you say Tangled?
Tangled, the
Yeah,
TV.
he was in the TV movie.
Oh,
Tangled.
the TV movie.
That's
No.
Yeah, I didn't think he
He's done
was.
some things.
I think I'm not saying they became like big actors. I'm just surprised they ever acted again. Because if I watched this movie, I wouldn't be like, yeah, let's get that dude.
No, I think most people that hire them go, let's get that.
Oh,
What
shit.
the fuck? Bailey, god damn it!
What?
It's not me.
You had
That's the
one
win.
That's the
job.
win.
That's the win.
No, she's saying you didn't like prepare the house correctly for the ghosts.
Oof.
For El Diablo.
Oh,
I haven't
man, I
even
feel
started
like
burning sage. Back off.
I genuinely feel like that was like the
That
foreshadowing.
was a warning. bro.
Yeah.
I'm out!
Before the tornado kills
We're
us.
gonna move.
Yeah.
We're gonna move.
Unlike Midsommar, where this is completely gratuitous violence, I like it because it's so inventive in the gratuitous violence.
Is it?
It
At the
is.
time,
People
for
die
sure.
so many different ways. It was cool.
Do they? It's like a lot of spikes.
Yeah, it was fun. Acid in the
There's
face.
spice and acid and fire and monofilament wires.
And then a crazy black dude fucking running you
Multiple
through the cube.
monofilament wires.
Definitely a.
The witch. When you have been
Maybe bounce.
nagging and fighting with someone for the entire time you've been cubed with them, you do not trust them with your life.
Exactly.
Mathematician
That black guy's
lady's been in
damn
a
near
lot of
killed you 3
movies.
times in the cube.
So, what I was gonna say, this is the first time I've ever seen this movie in HD, like 720 or anything. The only times I've ever watched this before this viewing of it have been like a VHS that I like rented from Hastings or something like that. So
Yeah.
I've never seen this like in high res. So that first scene where the guy gets like, boop, boop,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is like
It's all-
crazy graphic. I was like, wow, this is way more gory than I remember it being because I've never seen it in high definition. So when he gets like his face melted off, I was
Yeah,
like,
it was amazing.
ugh.
It was cool.
The Wren.
Oh my god, it's the Wren!
How did you get behind?
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
own worst enemy, acid face. What I thought was weird was that acid pointer was very face oriented,
It's very precise.
and the Rin very small man. Anybody else jump through there? They would got chest acided.
I think it's like
It probably-
motion.
it's probably like,
sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the Terminator, bro. It
Yeah, well,
found his
time.
face.
I do feel like he had plenty of time too. He could just
yeah, he
he
definitely
turned
was like,
around like,
ah.
So Worth, one of the guys who makes it to the end, David Hewlett, his last successful thing was The Shape of Water. That's
Oh, wow.
Fleming. I don't remember Fleming.
I think, isn't he the guard that's there?
He could be.
Was he one of the main mean guy that got his hand bit off.
He
Fingers bit
might
off.
be, yeah.
Oh, he was in Suits, the Exorcist show.
He's been. That's the Stargate Atlantis guy, right?
Huh?
The Stargate Atlantis guy.
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
He's been in a
He's
lot.
been in
of shit.
quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah. But The Shape of Water.
Which is weird because I think he is probably one of the worst actors in the movie.
So, the mentally handicapped guy in the movie.
Kazan.
Is the do you think, and I think it is, autism was not very prevalent, like in pop culture or like in the like vernacular of like society.
Put a pro spin on autism.
So I genuinely think that the intention is that he has autism.
Yeah, he's,
Right.
So, I've seen all three of them.
he's
Yes.
a savant.
Do you want me to?
Yes.
So.
These movies are old as
Okay.
fuck. You can
okay.
absolutely
I didn't know if
spoil
I wanted
it.
you to spoil it for you.
Yeah.
In the third one, which is the prequel,
Okay. Cube Zero.
there Cube Zero, there is another guy who you thought was Kazan, who ends up not being him because
Right.
the producer said so. But he
Because
jumps.
of an interview you read.
Yeah. He jumps into the cube to save somebody, and at the
Yeah,
end of the
that's
movie
right.
they escape, and then they
He
lobotomize.
just fell in the.
And then he does the exact same kind of hand motions as everything as Kazan. So the implication is that if you get too close or if you're involved in the cube, that they'll just fucking fuck you
Lobotomize
up.
you.
Yeah.
So maybe he was a genius working
Right.
on the
And
project.
so that guy in Cube Zero was a genius. He knew numbers and he had a photographic memory
Okay.
and shit like that too. So
Okay, that makes sense. That
I
makes
just
a lot of
figured he was
sense.
savant, but I guess you could be, multiple target. I don't know what you call it. Savant, autistic.
but that's
away from you.
what they wanted back then, I don't know. But that kind of closed the loop on what everybody thought had happened to
Right.
Kazan in the first movie.
Okay.
And then when he escaped in the regular cube, they probably murdered him if you go into hypercube.
So, I'll spoil it a little bit more. Cube Zero, one of the reasons why the main guy who jumps into the cube in that movie, he's frustrated because one of their workers had also been put in the cube, and he makes it to the end. And one of the questions is, do you believe in God? Because you get interviewed. Like, you're in a fucking thing out there, and they interview you over microphone.
Right.
And he says no, and then they burn him.
Huh.
So it's like 5 or 6 questions, and supposedly if you answer them correctly, you're just let out. But like they're very weird religious things, and he said no, and he just got burned to a crisp.
Huh.
It was really weird.
That's weird. Now I kind of want to watch Cube Zero to figure out what the fuck is going on.
You won't. I promise. It's still, they're all very, even Hypercube, you get little pieces of who actually was in charge of building it.
I feel like they just let themselves go a little too far. Like, at the end of Hypercube, when she escapes, knows that she's going to get shot in the head, and then gets shot in the head. I'm like, so what was the win? You go in the cube,
You're
you
proud, bro.
probably
Pride.
die. If you don't die, you escape, you get shot in the head. I'm like,
She was doing service for her country, Doyle.
I don't know if you like it.
That
That's
one's
awesome.
crazy because it fucks with time. So there's a dude just killing one other person like 18 times, just fucking over
Well, I
and
like how
over
it puts
again.
on his
We'll be
watch
coming
every
back
time.
to that
Yeah.
later today.
It's a weird. I love the movie. I
do too.
watched this when I was really young.
this
I
this
would say
movie's
I
a really
love
good
the
movie. I
Outside of the what?
So I wouldn't say I love them.
Oh,
I have a lot of good memories revolving around this movie. This is one of the movies that
I have more good memories revolving around this movie than I just have love for the movie.
So part of my love for this is nostalgia. Part of it is I just think it's a really good movie. Like, especially considering the budget, like the skill of the actors involved, like the story that they're trying to tell is super ambitious, and then they tell it, and it's fucking awesome. Like, never in a million years would I have expected that you could, with the exception of like an action movie, that you can. I mean, this is like hard sci-fi with like intense special effects that they did for like no money in movie terms. If I had $300,000, I'd be like swimming in it on my bed. But like
I'm rich.
I'm rich, bitch. Like,
And then it's gone tomorrow.
yeah, all the bills. It would just go all the bills. But that idea, the ideas that they're playing with and the execution of it is just so good for like what they had available to them. It's a perfect hard sci-fi low budget film.
I agree. I don't
You're
know what
like, I
else
can't
to do. I
disagree
don't know
with
what
that,
else
yeah.
to say because it's cool because you can't.
Rare moment here, guys. Juan and I agreeing on
That's not a rare
I'm
moment. That
just
happens
joking.
a lot. But it's crazy because you're escaping people who are with you and trying not to die and trying to escape a giant configuration fucking puzzle. It's so weird.
It's basically a crazy Rubik's Cube.
Oh, I loved it.
It is. It's great. What do you think? Like you?
I mean, I think there's a lot of ifs and ors and because of it's great, but like I think the movie is fun and definitely all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. If you're gonna like put the hard sells, like is it a solid movie? I think the acting is bad.
I agree.
It drags on a little bit, and the premise is not great. But it is everything you're saying it is. It costs $330,000. It's fun to watch. You can definitely make fun of it with your friends. It's like a stupid movie. The sci-fi elements are cool. It's inventive.
It is very inventive.
So I
this
do
is
like
not
it.
This
still.
is not a movie that I think would normally get made. You know, it was part of like some kind of. It sounds like some kind of Canadian film, like, you know, like how we have the.
Like the Sundance and stuff?
Yeah, like it was made with some kind of grant money for like a first-time filmmaker, and as a consequence, they just had a little more freedom than you would normally have making a movie.
Kevin Smith just did that.
Yeah.
He went and made a movie with a bunch of students. I can't remember what it's called, but it's about it. It's a horror too, I think.
Yeah.
I like it in the same way.
The last day you bought them all cheeseburgers.
Yes. That not because it is better than Battlefield Earth, but I like it in the same reason that I like Battlefield Earth.
It's definitely better.
It's way better. It's way better than Battlefield.
Dude, getting a fucking hot poker to the nuts is better than Battlefield Earth. I swear to God, if you make us watch that fucking movie.
It's coming. I'm gonna wait till you deserve it.
Kate's been a douchebag.
Time for Battlefield Earth.
No, Battlefield Earth
Juan's
had
like, no!
it had its one redeeming element to me, and that's how Cube is too. But Cube is a better movie, but I just like if you're just saying like, is it a good movie?
It doesn't really have a storyline.
No,
it doesn't have a storyline, and you don't even figure out what the fuck is really going on, and that frustrates me about the movie.
The math isn't even honestly right to feel like
that I don't know.
So,
I
but
don't know shit about math.
It is very. I enjoy the fact that they went that route. They're like, we're gonna make a math horror movie. It's like 2 cubes. Not explain.
I'll give you
shit.
all the jelly beans you want. Come on.
25 sacks of jelly beans. Yeah, whatever.
I only like the red ones.
Doesn't like the red ones.
Oh, is that what it is? Something like that.
I always enjoyed thinking about how a movie got pitched, and this would be one of those ones. It's like, how the fuck did this get greenlit? Even from
like an art film kind of...
an art film student, I would just be like, I think you need more. No, it's Cube.
No.
Bunch of people packed in a giant death cube.
It's definitely an IFC movie.
Sold. It
What are you
is.
gonna-
It is. It's something you would watch on an IFC
Cube.
channel or
So
Sundance channel.
do you want me to read the paragraph on Wikipedia? It says the script development.
Oh, okay.
Though Vincent Natali had the initial inspiration to make a film set entirely in hell in 1990, it wasn't until 94 when he was working as storyboard assistant at Canada's Nelvana Animation Studio that he completed the first script for Cube. The initial draft had a slightly comedic tone to it, that's fucking weird, and featured surreal images, a cannibal edible moss that grew in the walls, and a monster that roamed the cube. I think that would be fucking cool. Roommate and childhood filmmaking partner Andrei Bijelik helped Natali strip the central idea of people avoiding deadly traps in a maze. So it's what it was. It sounds like this is what he meant to make, which
Minus
is
the
crazy.
monster.
Minus the monster.
The monster
and
wouldn't
the
make no
moss.
sense though, because the monster should be getting killed by the traps too.
That's true.
No, not if it's like some kind of weird genetic marker thing that disables the traps. Because there were things that just straight disabled the traps.
I think that was the one thing that too, when I rewatched this movie, that I felt was the stupidest part. It's like right after they figured out that rooms are trapped and they murder you, the chick's like, no, I'm going first. And I was like, nobody would fucking do that.
Yeah.
Like they haven't figured out their method yet. The guy's like, I'm gonna go in. She's like, no, me first. Or it's like Age Before Beauty or Beauty Before Age, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, nobody would fucking do that.
Yeah, nobody's that dumb.
Yeah. The rim just got face melted. Like,
Yeah.
you're not hopping through the next room like that.
I did read another article that said that the Natali guy had made a sequel intending to answer all the questions, and then he was like, "Nah, I don't want to do that anymore."
You know, and that kind of makes sense. Like, a big part of the enjoyment of the movie is that you don't know the answers. Like, you know, it makes it. I mean, Mel hates that.
That's one of my frustrations.
Yeah, Mel hates that. I love that.
I just want to kind of know. I don't have to know everything.
This is where my nostalgia part kicks in. A big part of what I enjoy about this movie is that when you're done with it, you go sit with your friends, smoke too much dope, or drink, or like just sit at Denny's smoking cigarettes when there were still smoking sections, and you just talk about it for like 3 hours. And everybody disagrees with what's actually going on, and everybody's having like these intense conversations about what it could mean. Like, I love that. It's something that I miss, but now I have it with this. You know, it's a really cool thing that I love about this movie, is it has so many unanswered questions that you and your group of friends can just endlessly speculate about what's happening and never come to a complete consensus on what's going on. And that's really fun for me.
I guess it depends on the movie for me.
Yeah.
This is frustrating because there's not really a... I think the problem with me is that there's not really...
You don't enjoy things that are good.
Right?
No, just kidding.
I love the movie. There's not really a story for that to fall back onto. You know what I mean? So there's not a dense amount of stuff that filled me, though. I don't think there is. It's just about people trying to get out of a queue. And
but there's all
I don't know if I'd call that a story.
There's all the ideas about, like, all the people that are trying to build it.
Disagree with.
Yeah, Ice Cube feels that cubes are very important. No, there's just so many little. There's so many. There's so many.
He's going to jail.
There's so many little hints as to what's going on that you can mentally build up a framework and say, this is what I think is happening.
I just don't think there's enough storyline for there not to be enough of an ending.
And this kind of conversation is exactly what I was talking about.
But I love the movie.
Yeah,
I love the movie
I
nonetheless.
like both elements. I like that movies do that, and then I like the fact that I could go find out after the fact.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there is no after the fact in this one, which kind of sucks. I'm fine with it either way.
I love it.
I mean,
I
really
think
gotta
this is a great movie.
explain
It's one of my
cubes.
favorite movies.
I think Hypercube did, if you do go watch it, I think it did a poor job of thinking that it was built at a time where, oh fuck, we got really good graphics now, and it goes like way overboard with that.
Right.
And I like the rustic look of the prequel and the original. So.
Yeah.
And all the dumb parts of Cube, I think, got. Even though I think Hypercube's a better movie slightly because it has more of a story, I still like Original Cube more. The parts that are dumb about the Cube, they do more dumb in Hypercube. Like the math in Hypercube, it's just thrown. They don't explain any of it. It's on the wall. Dude figured out what time it is at. They don't go into how he did it.
He's
what
all
it's there for.
mathematics.
Yeah, like there's nothing about it. People die.
Oh shit, we got 12 minutes.
Pretty much.
Because it like implodes on itself.
Right.
It's really weird.
No, I think I saw it forever ago. Like, I think I saw it probably when it came out, but I don't remember it very
You
well.
can buy it for,
Hypercube
like,
came out in
$3.99.
2002.
You can buy it for $3.99
I think
on
I
Amazon.
bought it yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hypercube came out in 2002, Cube Zero in 2004.
I always wonder what Doyle's Amazon algorithm looks like.
It's weird.
It's like movies you might like, total crazy shit. Like,
It is very bizarre.
just think about what comes up if you say you like Battlefield Earth and the Cube and like tons of.
He said Queer Eye.
It's just Queer
That's
Eye.
what he said.
Netflix.
That's
Oh, Netflix?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Netflix algorithm is all kinds of weird.
Mine is pretty strange, and it's to the point where I'm just like, I don't want to watch any of this. How do I
Yeah.
fix this?
I get a lot of that too.
When we go to places for like San Diego, we fuck people's algorithms.
Yes,
up.
we do.
Because we're like, oh, let's go watch some Netflix, and so we'll go to put his stuff in, and somebody's just logged in, and we're just like, fuck it. So we just start watching shit.
And it's always weird shit.
The other part is too, specifically with Netflix, is Netflix will just derail you. Like if you watch a movie, sometimes it's just like, here's another thing, and you're watching this now. And I fall asleep a lot, like watching TV. When
Oh,
I
and
go
it
for work.
puts on like
So
16
I'll watch-
hours
yeah.
of God knows
I'll watch
what.
half a season of fucking some romance country show. And then I gotta deal with that bullshit for the next month and a half. As I like scrub it from the algorithm.
I told
No.
Gabe kind of on topic. I
Eat
told
you.
Gabe, I said for December, because we're doing October, all kind of horror-y, kind of, strange things. I was like, we should do all Lifetime Christmas movies.
No.
I said for the record, I immediately said I'm out. No way am I,
I think
doing
he
that.
said, shoot me.
I could do all Christmas movies and I don't want to do that.
But I don't.
Lifetime
Definitely
movies.
not Lifetime movies.
I do not want to watch a Hallmark movie.
Oh man.
I hate them.
I'll just watch Jingle All the Way every
Oh,
time.
I love that movie.
That movie is really good. I love that movie now because you introduced me to
Oh,
it.
I
That movie's
love it.
You know what
fucking
the
hilarious.
best Christmas movie is?
Scrooge.
Die
I
Hard.
love
Bingo. Scrooge
Scrooge
is
is
so
amazing.
good.
Die
I
Hard.
think she fell asleep the last
Die
time I
Hard is a
watched it.
great Christmas
It is,
movie.
I'm
Don't get me wrong, but Scrooge is the
Scrooge is
best.
pretty good.
It's my
So
favorite.
It is
funny.
excellent for
It's
wrapping
so
gifts.
funny,
So
and the way
funny.
it ends, you're just like, you're right, Bill Murray. You're right. Like,
Fuck that little kid. You're right.
Merry fucking Christmas, Bill Murray.
The fucking fairy. That shit's funny.
Oh man. All right,
So let's
so
finish. Thumbs way up for me. I
yeah,
fucking love
Yeah, my
it.
thumb's not way up, but it's up.
My thumb is way the fuck up.
Doyle's like
My thumb is 4/4 up.
4/4 up.
I'm
That's
at
all the way
That's
up.
all the way up, you idiot.
How about
Math.
how about the out of 5 out of 10?
I'm at a 10 out of half out of
Yeah.
5 out of 7.
Wow, that's a really high
I
rating.
love this fucking
Yeah,
movie.
you
I
do.
love this movie.
How about you?
1 and 1/2 out of
2.
3.
50%.
So
All right.
50%, that's
All
not
right,
bad. I'm probably gonna give this like
A 3.
All right.
3.
That's just a new
I'm
shit.
gonna give this an 11 out of 20.
All right.
No, just kidding.
That's
No,
pretty
I'm gonna
good.
say I want to say it's probably like a 4.5 out of 5, 7 out of 10. Yeah,
Thumbs up. Thumbs
it's
up
a
for
good
sure.
thumbs up.
Definitely go watch the movie. for
What
sure.
about you? What would you give this?
Okay, so
Do you understand our
Did
rating
you actually
system?
watch it?
Do I need to make a chart?
no. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
If you could, I'd be surprised.
Let's preface this by saying I've watched this movie 3 times when it came out in 1997. So it's been a minute. But
I was 10 years
it was
old.
kind of. Shut up. It was kind
Thank
of
you for reminding
flat
us that
for
you're a
me.
child.
It was flat for me. Like, I like that it was inventive. I agree a lot with Doyle. It was inventive, but the characters are just really flat. So
They're not flat. They're just poorly acted. There's
Yeah,
a
it's
difference.
it's just ugh.
They're
So,
maximized.
I give it a thumbs. I give it a thumbs middle. I don't know. I think out of 10, I'd give it like maybe a 6.5.
No, it's not
So-
bad. That's a good
little
score.
bit more than thumbs middle. I think
That's
you're
like a thumbs,
right
like-
on par with the
That's like a
audience.
thumbs.
I'm
It's
like,
I think
I'm
you're,
like
I think
maybe
you're
a
right
40.
there with Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like
You know what?
that's
I
like
feel
an
like
11 out of 15. I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
11.
I feel like if you went to an acting class and you gave people these roles, the performances you got would be like what you'd get in an acting class. Like everything
Yes.
is just taken
Yeah.
way
But
too far.
but I think that's kind of like going back to what you were talking about. I think that's like what this is. Like a small company just pumping out like indie movies, and
You
that's
can
kind
tell
of what
that it was a
Oh, yeah.
$350,000 budgeted movie.
They
From the
definitely,
acting.
they
Yeah.
probably
I would say if there
just completely got all the actors from one acting class.
Right.
I think if there was a high level of acting in this movie is like a $2 million movie.
Yeah, probably.
Like the
Sure.
sets and the
And then they
budget.
build a bigger set for some reason.
Yeah, for no reason
We're
whatsoever.
gonna get 4 cubes. You only need 2. No, make 4.
Make four.
Yeah.
All
We're really
right.
gonna kill the red.
The
So
Ren.
not the Ren.
Cats. Like cats.
So next,
Cats.
I
I gotta find out what she actually says there.
don't think she does, but that's
I think
okay.
she just cats, freaking cats.
Oh shit! What do we? When does the interview start?
It's 7.
Oh, okay.
We got 7.
Let me bring up Skype.
Yeah.
I just haven't brought up Skype.
So with that said, this has been episode 148 of Thinking Outside the Longbox. I'm Gabe.
Oh, sorry.
Alicia.
I'm Juan.
Cats.
Boy.
You know what?
I'm Mel. What the fuck?
Be sure to join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Thinking Outside the Longbox, Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch at Outside Longbox, and of course YouTube, tinyurl.com/TOTLB2. Please subscribe and hit the notifications. We'd love that. we're still live streaming.
But we're gonna stop.
But
that,
we're
I
going to
think, for the
stop
end.
on Twitch and YouTube and switch over to our Facebook Live. So if you're on Twitch or you're on YouTube, please join us again about 7:30ish. I'll announce it on our Facebook page again. But we will be going live on Facebook here in about 2 minutes. I'm going to be doing an interview in the
No, we're doing the interviews in 2 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to be doing an Oh, okay. So we won't
Not
go
Facebook.
live.
Yeah.
We'll be off for like about a half an. Let me finish it. Let me finish the episode. Ignore all that stuff if you're a podcast listener. We'll talk to you soon for episode 149. Bye.
48.
This was
48.
48.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon for episode
Oh,
149.
gotcha. All right. We'll see you
Bye.
then. Bye, everybody.
All right, if you're on the live stream, stay tuned. We'll be back in about a half an hour. I'm going to be doing an interview that's not going to be very exciting for you to watch. It'll be a lot of me going like this at a microphone.
Like this.
All right, so or maybe even a little. Anyway,
Wow.
so we'll see you guys in half an hour.
Microphone is
Switch over to
$25.
Facebook, facebook.com/thinkingoutsidethelongbox. If you're on our Twitch or YouTube stream, we will be doing our seance episode here in about a half an hour. Bye.